Earlier, we were scheduling emails. We were setting up email send activities, SMS push notification activities. We were creating filter data extensions. We were writing SQLs. But the condition was data is already present in the data extension to which you want to send email, SMS, push notification. Data was already present in the data extension to which you wanted to query. The data was already present into the data extension on which you have applied the filter. The project which we are working is a transactional invoice project. That project is still not over. A lot of things we have to still see around that project. We have seen till now how to build data, how to build data extensions, how to send communications, how to build data-driven invoices, emails, SMS push notifications, how to schedule email sends. But invoice transaction is a real-time transaction, guys. Data won't be already present. So what all data we have in the data extension, we are able to schedule our automation easily because the data is already there in the data extension. But now there will be highly chances data is not available. And whenever the data comes, you have to deliver the communication. Currently, we have manually imported the data into the data extension. If you go to the data extension and check out Bash 36 data extensions, you see that we have already stored data into B36 customer profile. 11 people are there. We have already stored data into B36 transactions. We have already stored data into B36 products. So guys, this B36 customer profile is the sendable data extension which we have created. Sendable data extension, why we have created? Because it contains all those data which we require to send communication. Like it contains subscriber keys, email address. Email addresses are required to send emails. It contains phone number. These are required to send SMS. Other data extensions are the behavioral data extensions, like what product purchased, what was the bill amount, what is the brand of the product, color of the product, size of the product, are the behavioral data that can't be made sendable. So we have made this B36 customer profile as a sendable data extension because it provides right information for the system to communicate with these people. Now guys, these data you have already uploaded, to which you can send email, SMS, push notifications, create filter, query it using SQL easily using the Automation Studio. But there are chances that you won't be having data in advance. It is pretty obvious to understand that somebody makes a transaction. How can you have his data in advance? Transaction is made just now. The data should flow immediately. The transaction is made just now. Then how can you store this data in advance? So guys, in our invoice transaction project, we have built automation, have used scheduled entry source, and then have sent push notification, SMS, email, have tried to query that data extension, have tried to create filter on that data extension only because data is already present. But in our project, data will come real time. Data is not already present with you. So guys, what we will do, we will try to download this data. We will try to download this data and we will clear this data extension. We will download this data and we will clear this data extension. Now data is cleared. We have taken the backup on our system. Now to whom you will send email, SMS, push notification? Why you are going to schedule this? Because the data is not available. Whom you will send email, SMS, push notification? To nobody, because data is not present. So now guys, data will come in real time. Data will come in real time. we have till now seen manual import, and then we have triggered the automation manually by scheduling it 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., tomorrow 10 p.m., whatever schedule you want to send. You want to configure, you can configure. But we had to do manual import in that case. Now, the other way to get data, which is not manual import, is we have seen using data sources, synchronized data sources. Synchronized data sources, we have seen how to get data from the synchronized platforms like Salesforce, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. But this will also not solve our purpose. This synchronized data source will also not have transaction data available in advance so that you can schedule an automation on that. The data will come in real time. Now there are two more ways to get data to Marketing Cloud. We have seen two ways, how to manually import and how to sync the data source. There are two more ways how the data can come to Marketing Cloud. And these will help you trigger automation whenever the data arrive. These two will not help to, these two import sources will not help you trigger the automation automatically. You have to use schedule, because schedule always demands data to be present. And to put the data in advance, you can either manually import or sync the data source. But when you are working with projects which demands real-time data, then you have two more ways. The first way is SFTP and the second way is API. The first way is SFTP and the second way is API. SFTP is Secured File Transfer Protocol and API is the Application Programming Interface. SFTP and API are the two different ways which will help us run the automation automatically. For now, you have scheduled an automation which will run at some time. But customer had made a transaction in next 15 minutes. Then you have to run this automation to deliver SMS, push notification, email in next 15 minutes only. So when you are working with real-time data, you cannot use schedule entry source. You are left with two other entry sources. One is file drop or one is trigger. File drop will use SFTP, which is Secured File Transfer Protocol. And this trigger will use APIs, which is the other source. Now we have to explore use case of file drop and trigger one by one. Now we have to use file drop and trigger one by one. Now guys, what is file drop automation? File drop automation is the automation which will detect a file which is dropped on Marketing Cloud, and if it detects that file, it will automatically start the automation. File drop automation is the type of automation which will detect the file dropped on Marketing Cloud, and once it detects, it will automatically start the automation. Where the file will be detected? The file will be detected on SFTP. What is SFTP? Secured File Transfer Protocol, which is a virtual directory in Marketing Cloud. That virtual directory is synced with the Marketing Cloud platform or integrated with Marketing Cloud platform. So Marketing Cloud provides you a virtual directory by default, which is known as SFTP, very important topic. That virtual directory you can use to trigger automation based on the file drop event. That virtual directory you can use to trigger automation based on the file drop event. how to log into that virtual directory. To log into that virtual directory, today I have shared the credentials. To log into the virtual directory, today I have shared the credentials. This is the URL of the virtual directory. Whenever you purchase Marketing Cloud, you will also get a virtual directory. You can get it easily. So this is the URL of that virtual directory. This is the username of that virtual directory. This is the password of that virtual directory. And this is the port number of that virtual directory. URL of the virtual directory, username of the virtual directory, password of the virtual directory, and the port number of the virtual directory. Now, how to access this virtual directory? To access these virtual directories, you have to use SFTP client. To access the virtual directory, you have to use SFTP client. Just write Google. On Google, write SFTP client. You will see a lot of clients.
Harshit, there is a lot of background voice coming from someone.
Okay. Okay. So to access that virtual directory, you have to use SFTP client. SFTP is a virtual directory. And to access that virtual directory, we have to use SFTP client. What are the SFTP clients? WinSCP is a SFTP client. You can get more suggestions like FileZilla is an SFTP client. Or you can find FileStash as a SFTP client. You can use any SFTP client to log into Marketing Cloud's virtual directory. What I prefer to use is either WinSCP or FileZilla. So first of all, to access Marketing Cloud's virtual directory, you have to get SFTP client. FileZilla is the SFTP client. You have to download that SFTP client on the desktop. Once you download that SFTP client, you have to install it, and this kind of application you will be able to see on your desktop. This application will ask your host username, password, port number, so that you can quickly connect to your SFTP client, SFTP directory. The password to access Marketing Cloud SFTP directory for this account which you are currently using is here. This is the username of that SFTP directory. This is the username of that SFTP directory. Every Marketing Cloud will have its own SFTP credentials. This is the host name of the SFTP. This is the password of the SFTP. This is the port number of the SFTP. Once you entered host, username, password, and port number, you have to click on Quick Connect. And right-hand side, you will see that one virtual directory which has export, import, reports, triggered automations is enabled in front of you. So guys, SFTP will be provided by Marketing Cloud. SFTP is a virtual directory which is integrated with Marketing Cloud. It has 4 folders: export, import, report, and triggered automations. Whatever file you drop on this virtual directory can be detected by automation. And if automation detects that file, it will auto trigger. To do this, you have to use file drop automation. You have to use file drop automation. We have seen schedule, but schedule we saw that can only be worked when you have data available in advance. But we have cleared the data extension, and we will be providing data. And whenever we provide data to this data extension, it should trigger the automation. So guys, here we are with the file drop automation, which is configured with our SFTP directory, which will help detect the file whichever you drop on the SFTP and will run this automation. So once you have dragged and dropped file drop, you have to click on configure. Once you have dragged and dropped file drop, you have to click configure. You see import and trigger automation folders. These folders are the folders you have on your SFTP. Import and triggered automation folders you have in the SFTP. So whatever file you drop either in import or trigger automation will be detected by Automation Studio's file drop event. So suppose we have a file name. We have a file name which contains B36. Suppose we are going to drop a file name which contains B36. This is the file which we took backup while we were clearing the data extension. Now this file we have taken backup and cleared data extension to show you an example how to work with real-time data. So now data extension is cleared. The file is on our desktop and it is having name B36 customer profile. So we are configuring an automation, a file drop automation, which should run whenever a file whose name contains B36 is dropped on our import folder. Whenever a file which contains B36 as name in it is dropped on import folder, this automation should activate. Whenever a file with name B36 or contains B36 is dropped on our SFTP, this automation should run. To test it, we will use a wait activity. To test it, we will use a wait activity. In this wait activity, we can define 1 minute of wait time. This is a sample activity which we have done to test if we drop a file, will this automation run or not? And if it runs, will it execute this wait activity or not? We will name this automation as B36 file drop. And we will click on save option. And we will click on active option. So now guys, this automation we have created using a file drop event and one sample activity, wait activity we have used. Now this automation, we haven't defined any time when to run. We haven't defined run at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, next year, next week. We haven't defined. We just defined that whenever a file is dropped on our SFTP, it should run. Now let's test. We have this FileZilla. Inside this, we have import folder. We are going to manually drop a file to this import folder, and we will check if the automation detects and starts or not. So we have this B36 customer profile on our desktop. We will drag and drop this file to this directory. Once we have dragged and dropped this file to this directory, you say import successful. Once the file is dragged and dropped, the import successful message you see, then you go back to automation and find that automation has detected that file and it has started to run. And 1 minute of wait activity we have configured to test, which is successfully running. Now guys, this is the very engaging way to engage your automations, to run your automations. We have seen that either you have a file on your desktop, you can manually go import that file and schedule the automation. We have seen that if you have data in the Salesforce Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, you can sync that data to Marketing Cloud and schedule an automation on that data. But if data is coming into batches, suppose you have a website, last 1 hour of transactions, whatever transactions has happened, you want to send them email after 1 hour, then you will have to extract last 1 hour of data in batch and will have to drop it on the SFTP. Here we have manually dropped, but this SFTP can be configured with the system you are using, which will automatically drop the file to import folder. So every hour you can get the data in batch. Every hour you can get the data in batch and get automation import that data. So guys, here we have used just a wait activity which we configured to run this automation for 1 minute. But this is not the ideal use case of this file drop automation. So once a file is dropped on our SFTP, what we have to do? We have to import that data. We are understanding the third capability of automation, which is extract, transform, load. And in that we are understanding load process. How to load bulk data to Marketing Cloud in batches. For that, you have to configure SFTP, and then you have import file activity. Then you have import file activity. This import file activity will detect the file which you have dropped on the SFTP import folder and will import the data to Marketing Cloud data extension. As many times you import the data to the SFTP, this automation will run and import the data automatically to the data extension. You just have to make sure that the SFTP is getting regular batch files. Once SFTP gets the regular batch file, the automation will automatically import the data. You don't have to import every data manually. So now guys, earlier we were having advanced data manually imported. Now we shifted to batch data. So suppose on your website, every hour transactions are happening and you want to fetch hourly transaction data and post it to the SFTP. Automation Studio will make sure that data is correctly imported. How to import the data using import activity? You have to click on choose and create new import definition. P36 auto import is the name of the import activity. Here you have to select the file location. You have to select the file location. File location you can see is already selected. That is the import folder. This is the import folder which you get using your SFTP. This import folder file location is already created. Here you have to provide the name of the file which you want to import when it is dropped on your SFTP. Every time we will be getting this file which is dropped on our SFTP. So you define this file name here, which file you want to import, followed by .csv. So guys, see, this file we will be dropping on the import folder within the SFTP. It will start the automation. And in that automation, we have configured import file activity, which will pick this file and import in the data extension. The choice of data extension you can select here. You want to import the data into your customer profile data extension, which we have cleared. Why we have cleared? So that we understand the file drop automation. So guys, we have configured here import file activity, and we will save this automation and activate it. Now it has solved two purposes. One purpose is the problem was you are getting data in batches. Every hour you are getting data in batches. You don't have to sit 24 hours in front of your desktop to import that manually. You have configured file drop automation, which will detect those batch files dropped on your SFTP. And once it detects, we have import activity, which solves our data import process. Every hour we don't have to sit and manually import. Once file drop automation detects the file is dropped, then it will automatically trigger this import file activity and will import the data to the desired data extension. In our case, this is the data extension. So now guys, let's try. We have activated this automation. Now we will again import, drag and drop that file. We will again drag and drop that file. Once we have dragged and dropped that file, the import inside the SFTP started. The import inside the SFTP started, import successful. Automation detected that a file with naming pattern B36 is dropped on the import folder. Automation detected and automation started. Now, what is happening? B36 auto import activity is running. What it is doing? It is importing the data for you inside the data extension. Just 2 minutes. It is importing the data inside the data extension. So once it completes, you will be able to see the data flowing inside this data extension. So guys, this import activity is complete. You go and check B36, the customer profile. Now you see that earlier we cleared this data. Now we have that data back. Now we have that data back. So now guys, you have a specific use case. This data is a transactional data you are getting in batches. Every 1 hour, every 2 hour, or whatever frequency you set. Suppose transactions are happening on your website. And your website owners are telling that I will give you transaction data every hour in batch. Then you have to set up the configuration to receive that batch on the SFTP. You have to set up the automation to detect that batch dropped on the SFTP. And then you have to set up the automation to import that data to the data extension. And your website owner is telling that once you import this data, you have to send emails. Every time new data is coming, it is getting uploaded into this data extension. Once it is getting uploaded to data extension, you have to send emails. So now you can configure an email send activity. So every hour new data is coming, getting imported to new data, email is sent. Then next time again data is coming, it is getting imported to that data extension and email is sent. So guys, this is the load process. Now, every time you won't be getting a CSV file. You are working for bank insurance clients. You are working for sensitive government projects who cannot expose data directly like this. Double click and you are exposed with the entire data. They will not at all give you this liberty to access data on your desktop. Either they will encrypt this file and send you, either they will zip the file and send you, or they can do some, key pair locking of that file. That means you might get file which is not a CSV file. You might get a file which is not a CSV file. It can be an encrypted file. If you decrypt, then you will get the CSV. It can be a zipped file. If you decrypt, then you will be getting that CSV file. For example, I will right click here and I will do one thing, compress to zip file. I have compressed the zip file now. This is the file suppose I am getting, not this one. This file I am not getting, I'll delete that. This is the file which is a zipped file which I am getting from the client. And let me delete previous files which I have imported as well. Let me delete previous file which I have imported as well. So this file I imported earlier to SFTP, I have deleted that as well. Okay. So now guys, you might encounter certain situation that, let me activate this automation. that instead of directly sending a zipped file, your client is, instead of directly sending a CSV file, your client might encrypt that file, might zip that file. So once they drag and drop zipped file, the file name might be same, but the extension is not CSV, extension is .zip. The automation will detect that file because it is only detecting the file which contains B36 name. But import will fail. Why import will fail? Because import always works on CSV or TXT file. It will fail on zipped file. So you may get error, file not found. Though you have dropped a file, just one thing you did is you made it zipped and you dropped it, but automation failed to detect. We are understanding ETL capability, extract, transform, load. The first thing we have seen is the import activity, which demonstrates load capability of automation. But here the file got transformed to zipped file. The file got transformed to zipped file, which you cannot import. It will throw error like this. So guys, you have to transform the zipped file back to CSV. You have to transform the zipped file back to CSV, then you can import. So before you import, you have to convert that zipped file to CSV. For that, you have to use file transfer activity. Don't go with the name. File transfer activity has multiple use cases, very important thing. If you clear Automation Studio, you will be able to clear 60% of your interview. File transfer activity will help you transform the file from zipped to unzipped, from encrypted to decrypted. Click on choose option, create new file transfer activity, write B36, transform. This file transfer activities gives you two options: manage file or move a file from safe house. We are getting zipped file, we are getting encrypted file whose extension is not .csv. We have to manage that file, unzip or decrypt a file found in Marketing Cloud's enhanced FTP directory. That means the file, the zipped file which we dropped, it will manage this file, either unzip or decrypt it based on the requirement. That means it will transform the file. We are understanding ETL capability, extract, transform, load, in which we are seeing transform capability of automation. Zipped file cannot be imported. We have already seen error. So before importing that zipped file, we have to transform that file to CSV, and then that CSV can be imported. So we have used file transfer activity, in which we will use manage file. Click on next option, give the file name here which you want to unzip. This file you have dropped, which you want to unzip first before importing. Copy its name, write .zip. So you have given file naming pattern which you want to unzip. Here you have actions: unzip the file, decrypt the file. If you are getting encrypted file, you can click on decrypt, but we don't have any key pairs to encrypt a file. We will select the option unzip the file because we have zipped. So it will unzip the file, and then you can use the import activity. Earlier, we were getting error into import activity because system was telling file not found. Why it was not found? Because it was looking for a CSV file, but we dropped a zipped file. Then we got a requirement that we can transform that zipped file back to CSV, and then we can import. So we have used file transfer activity. Now we will try to drop that zipped file again. Now we will try to drop that zipped file on our SFTP again. We will drag and drop this zipped file to our SFTP again. Once we drop that file to our SFTP, what will happen? System will detect that file System will detect that file, automation will start, but what is happening first? First, the unzip is happening. Unzip happened. Now that unzipped file is getting imported. Now that unzipped file is getting imported. So you see that the action cleared, the automation went successful. So guys, file transfer activity will help you unzip this file and then you can import the file to this data extension. Now you might be getting one more challenge. This data is coming into batches. Your administrator is saying that I will be sending you a zipped file, you have to unzip, then you have to import, and then you have to send emails to that data. Then you can configure email send activity. Once you send email to that data, you have to take backup of this data, because next batch will overwrite this data, and next hour the batch you are going to receive, you have to send emails to them. That means this data you have to overwrite. In import activity, we have option whether to overwrite, whether to add, update, append. These are the data actions. So we have selected overwrite in the import activity. So next batch, when it is received, will overwrite this data. You will lose the backup. So your administrator has asked to take the backup once you deliver the email, or once you import the data. Let's make it simple. You have to take backup of this data. One way to take backup of this data is to export and download it on your browser. One way to take backup of this data is to export and download it on your browser. But every hour you can't do. Suppose you have 10, 15, 20 data extensions for which data is coming. Every hour you can't do this. So you have to use automated activity which will extract this data and send this data to SFTP, export folder, which will extract this data in a CSV file and move this backup to export folder. Everything automated. Once you have imported data, you have transformed the data, you have to take a backup of that transformed data on the SFTP again. So for that, you have to use file transfer activity. Sorry, you have to use data extract activity. Data extract activity will help you extract the data from Marketing Cloud. B36 data extract activity will help you extract the data from Marketing Cloud. You can define the name of the extracted file .csv, and here you have to select the extract type. For us, there is no extract type available. This is a premium feature offered by Salesforce for which we have to pay money. But if it was activated, then in this drop down you will get an option to extract the data from a data extension. You have to select that option. Once you select that data extension, you will be able to export the data to the export folder in the SFTP. This process, unfortunately, is very easy, but we can't see due to the premium feature offered by Salesforce, and we don't have it in our demo account. But this will be asked in your interview, how you will take the backup of the data. You have to use data extract activity.